Hello, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining to the couple of viewers we had out there. I am Daniel and I'm joined by one of my Khajiit companions, Mort. Thanks for joining me. So, for one thing, let me know if the sound balance is out of whack. I will be turning it down in game shortly, but I can't overstate how this glorious swelling orchestra right now. So I'll let this play through at least. So, hi. So some of you may know me from Board Game Feast, where I create edible board game creations. So you may be wondering, this is not a board game, obviously. So, but you may, I'm also a co-host of the podcast, the Omnigamers Club. It's relatively new, where we sort of alternate between video games and board games. So we don't discriminate between digital and analog here. So in lieu of getting much board gaming happening lately with the lockdown restrictions, I'm trying something a little different here. I haven't streamed in a little while, so keeping this pretty low key. To ease into things and iron out the bugs, the scribs, I think they're called in this. Oh, hello, Amanda. Welcome. How are you? So yeah, we'll get started shortly. So this, I'm sure you've all heard me say this 100 times. This is my favorite game. A lot of you would have heard of the follow up to these. Like there's the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim. Skyrim was a lot of people's jumping on point, and most people will say that their favorite is their first, obviously, for many reasons. Partly due to like the age that you are when you first get into these. Like I was 14 when I first played this. A lot of time on my hands to play. Not much disposable income to be buying a lot of games. Yes, have a fun look, Amanda. Thank you. So yeah, I've played this on and off quite a bit over the years. Though, I mean, when I was playing it at its original release, I mean, first I originally played it on the Xbox. It was an Xbox exclusive when it first came out, on the OG Xbox, that is. So it's a bit funny seeing people get upset that the next Elder Scrolls might be an Xbox exclusive, because this is where it was born on consoles. It was on the Xbox. So I played a lot of this on the original Xbox. Then eventually, a couple of years later, we were able to afford a PC that was able to run this with a draw distance larger than 2 meters. So I was able to dive into that and of course load it up with a whole bunch of mods. The mod scene for Morrowind was pretty huge. I went all in. And of the dozens and dozens of new characters I started, about half of those were probably due to me ruining my save file with overloaded mods. So that's been a big part of my history. Don't have a huge lot of time and patience to explore that these days. We've got a little bit of mods here that I'll get into a little later. Keeping it pretty simple, mostly just some polish and tweaks and bug fixes and that sort of thing. But I wanted to keep it as close to the original experience as possible. I didn't even install better faces for like the first time in over a decade. I've not played with the original faces since I was probably 16 or something. So yes, so we'll get started in a moment. Danny, hello, thanks for joining us, little nerd. So it's same that you played it on Xbox. So yeah, we'll jump in shortly. Starting a new game, obviously, and I want to try and avoid the usual tropes that I'd lean back on with creating a character. I always go for some kind of archer / longsword character. It was traditionally probably an Imperial or Breton, I think, and so I want to try and avoid my common go-tos there, and we'll play with some new some other ideas for characters. Some of you may know me as my original username, Seren. I actually created that name playing Morrowind. After my first dozen or so characters, I got bored of using Aragorn or Rincewind or other characters, And so I came up with my own name, and I've just been using that ever since for like as my default role-playing name for any RPG, from Mass Effect to World of Warcraft, and it's still my name on like Board Game Arena and a bunch of other places. But we might check that up too and have a character not named that. So we will load up in a second. Okay, let me see. Oh, I might just move the this chat around on the screen. 1 second here. I'll keep the chat turned off for now, unless we get a huge influx of followers. But I'm expecting this to be pretty quiet today. So we're just easing ourselves in, and we'll see how this goes. So why don't we get on our way to Vardenfell? I'll just let this play out.
They have taken you from the Imperial City's prison, first by carriage and now by boat. To the east, to Morrowind. Fear not, for I am watchful. You have been chosen.
Wake up. We're here. Why are you shaking? Are you okay? Wake up.
Okay, I record that cinematic being quite loud, so and quite ambiguous too. It doesn't really let you know a lot about what's going on this game. It's yeah, pretty vague. There's a prophecy, the Nerevarine prophecy. What is it? Unknown parents on an unknown day, along those lines. But it's very slowly teased out. You're not really spelled out your goals as clearly as in something like Skyrim. And we have our friend Giub here. Praise Saint Giub. You don't actually see much of him in this game, but there is some very fun references to him in the later games that take place in a much later timeline, that he in fact becomes a saint. So he's to any person who's created a lot of characters in this game, you're very familiar with old G up here. Okay, so the hardest question about starting any new Elder Scrolls game is what you're going to call your character. So I mean, I'm open to suggestions here. I've got a random generator up my sleeve that we can use otherwise if necessary, but throw any suggestions you may have in chat, any of you who may be out there. So let's take a look. Where are we? Okay, so yeah, here we have this handy dandy character generator that will take out a lot of the thinking, and don't want to be taking an hour micromanaging every decision here. So I think we're going to keep it pretty open. The one thing I do want to keep here is there was an option here to whether you want to follow the Nerevarine prophecy or not. It is basically whether you want to follow the main quest or not. And I think for this playthrough, I want to keep to that somewhat. A lot of my interest for this playthrough now is really exploring the lore and world building of this game. I feel like that despite the hundreds of hours I put into this game, especially being a teenager at the time and playing with a lot of mods, I didn't really absorb a lot of the lore that's in the game. It's a lot of reading. It's all delivered via text, and I guess I just didn't really absorb much of what it actually means. But hearing a lot of the other sort of video game journalists talking about this in recent years, like Austin Walker talked about this a lot, Cameron Kunzelman, a lot of folks like that have like really talked up that world building and the tribunal triumvirate of gods and the dueling pantheons of there's the original gods and sort of man-made gods. So there's some really weird stuff going on there, and the Nerevarine prophecy. There's some really fascinating stuff going on there with like this like fake Nerevarines tied into the prophecy that helps to help the actual Nerevarine. So I really wanted to drill down into some of that cool lore this playthrough. So we're gonna stick to the main quest somewhat, and other than that, I want to keep this pretty open in terms of like races and classes and everything. Where are we? So I think we're pretty good here. I haven't had any suggestions, so we'll just go on and roll with this, and we can of course veto any decision. So what have we got here? Barbane Marad, a Breton spellblade. I like the name. It's pretty very sort of makes me think of like Morrigan, sort of druid type character, but they're a spellblade, which tends to be oh no, it's actually like a lot of magic, a lot of and short blades, not long blades. That's stuff I've not really engaged with yet. The magic system in Morrowind is really obtuse, in a way that you can really customize your spells to a huge degree. I mean, there's 6 schools of magic, and some of them are just about like one is destruction, that's offensive spells, obviously. One's alteration, which is basically just like unlocking locks and chests with magic and changing appearances. And there's one, a conjuration, I think, is summoning, and illusion is like making yourself hard to see. And there's some really niche schools of magic in this game. I think they've really narrowed it down into about 3 or 4 in the more recent games. So you can really customize these spells quite a lot once you level up magic, and that might be a fun way, because I've never really doubled down into those magic systems quite a bit. I know one of the complaints is that you can really, not even a complaint, that's why a lot of people love this game, is that it's so obtuse and complicated that you can really break the game and like boost stats and make yourself and like make enemies unable to see you completely, and like paralyzing enemies constantly. And there's some really interesting combos of magic here, so that might be a fun way that we could play with that a bit. And we've got some short blade here as a backup. I've always been a traditional long blade user, so that this could be fun. They are dirt poor, and they're the same age as me, so that works. I don't know who the Scar... Oh, the Scar, I think, are part of the Blood Moon expansion, which we won't be getting to for a while. And I'm not going to hold to these factions. We'll join whatever factions we want, I think. Because that's one of the wonderful things about Morrowind is... Oblivion and Skyrim have like 4 factions. Morrowind has like 10. They're all pretty involved. They all have like conflicting opinions of the other guilds. So if you join like the Mages Guild, the Fighters Guild or the Thieves Guild at the wrong time, you'll completely block yourself off from the others because they hate each other so much. And like there's the 3 great houses, and you only choose one of those. Like each one of those 3 houses is a full quest line and building a stronghold, but you can only choose one each character. So that's going to be the true decision here, I think, is which of those 3 houses we go for at some point. But I think I'm liking this character. Why don't if I can bring this up onto the screen, let me just move this around a bit while I fill in these details. Okay, so Barbane Morad. I like any number of names with a Y in it. I started another character before I decided to stream this. I only got like an hour into it, and I think that I had a randomly generated name with that. I had about 3 Ys in the name, I think. Which is the appropriate number of Ys. Okay.
Not even last night's storm could wake you. I heard them say we've reached Morrowind. I'm sure they'll let us go. Quiet. Here comes the guard.
This is where you get off. Come with me.
So we are, as with most more Elder Scrolls games, we are prisoners. Start out as a nondescript prisoner. Been sent from the, I think, even sent from the Imperial City. So like where Oblivion is set, to this sort of far-flung colony in. Oh, okay. Sorry. Let me put it back. Thanks, Danny. I was showing. I had that up so I could read the details off, but I think I'm gonna have to flip back and forth one way or another. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Didn't miss much. Giab has just told us that we've reached Morrowind. Now, the interesting thing here being that stop that. That Morrowind refers to there is the province of Morrowind, which is the realm of the Dunmer, the Dark Elves. But the game takes place on Vardenfell, which is basically just an island within Morrowind. So the game isn't the whole of the province. It's just this one large island that's in the middle, and it's a great way of sort of limiting the world without having to have those invisible walls that so many of the Bethesda games have these days, where you can't go any further than this, and you can see buildings and trees and stuff beyond, but you just can't go any further, whereas this is a little more natural limitation. But so we're at Vardenfell, sort of backwater colony, and yeah, well, it's a very low-key introduction. There is no like big tutorial dungeon in this game. I think it may even be the only one, because I think Arena had a big tutorial dungeon, Oblivion and Skyrim do. I'm not sure about Daggerfall, but this one begins with the exciting experience of going to the tax and census office, which is a great detail, I find. It sounds so boring, but it's a great indication of the sort of amount of flavor they put into it. Like how many video games with an open world have a tax and census office? Like these things do matter. You do need to have these things, I guess. And that's where this game starts. So why don't we continue on here?
You better do what they say.
Up on deck and let's keep this as civil as possible.
The sooner you leave, the sooner we can move on.
So the strange thing being that I think this is a prisoner ship that's come all the way from the Imperial City to Morrowind with all of 2 prisoners. It's just you and old G up here. There's like 8 bunks here, but the 2 prisoners. So this is the last we see of old Giab, unless of course you're starting a new game every other day. So again, praise Giab. Maybe we'll see him in Oblivion. Okay, so let's get out of this dark boat. I may need to adjust my lighting. It's pretty dark in here. It is a nice contrast from that dark boat to coming out into this sort of lush swamp. Old Seyda Neen, and the old Morgan Freeman. The Better Faces mod that I've always used, whatever face it replaces this guy with, is like it's pretty explicitly based on Morgan Freeman. So it's always nice exiting the boat to be greeted by him. So yeah, you can see it's quite a long draw distance here. This is largely with a mod that sort of messes with the script to be able to boost the draw distance like this. And I mean, it was like about half of this, I think, in a native game. You'd be able to see, and in the vanilla game, you couldn't even have a native resolution with like a 1080 resolution. I had to use a mod just to change the resolution up from like 1200. It was looking pretty grainy, but it's nice and smooth here now. There is a little bit of like tearing in the distant mountains that I might tweak in the future, but it's looking pretty good. Okay.
Let's go. Move it along. We finally arrived, but our records don't show from where.
So we can now choose our person. I think the generator had said Breton, but Breton might be my most played race. So I think we're going to tweak that. The previous randomly one I was using before I streamed was actually a Red Guard, which I like the idea of. So we might go with Red Guard. And I don't think there's a lot of choices for face here. What have we got? I think it's like usually 4 or 5. The main difference seeming to be age. So I think was it Morrowind? No, it wasn't Morrigan. It was what was our name again? Let me just double check this. Oh, but Barbane Morad. Okay. So let's have a look. Spikes. I got the flat cut. Some pretty uninspired hairdos here that are mostly flat crop tops. That's like the one that is like an actual style to it, I think. For a mage, probably a little proper. So I'm liking that. What do we think? Is that? I'm liking this lady. I think. Why don't we just go with that? Okay.
Great. I'm sure you'll me up to the office and they'll finish your release.
Okay, so we're pretty much on rails at the moment. We can't leap off the off the boardwalk. Sort of funneled into the census office here. Seyda, Neen, census and excise office. That's right. No, sorry, not tax. Census and excise office. So we're in this little town of Seyda, Neen here, which is basically a little backwater colony. It's just the point of arrival for new immigrants. It's so Morrowind or Vardenfell is the land of the Dunmer, the Dark Elves, but it is in the process of being colonized by the Imperial forces, and so there is a some tension there, obviously. But it dives into some interesting angles to that tension. And much in the same way Skyrim, I guess, has the rebel forces. I think is the two factions you can choose between the rebels, the Stormcloaks and the I don't remember the other one. Okay, so what's this? Socius. Socius. Yeah, all the the Imperial names are extremely Roman. Socius Agala. So here's the.
Yes, we've been expecting
who
you.
choose our class.
You'll have to be recorded before you're officially released. There are a few ways we can do this, and the choice is yours.
So of course you have the way you can do the classic way of answering your questions, like the town bully stole my sweet rolls. How will I? How do you go about it to get your sweet roll back? So you could answer a bunch of questions and it will suggest a class. You can just pick one from a list, or you can just create a custom class basically for whatever you want. And it's interesting. I can't remember exactly. I think there's something like 20 skills in Skyrim. There's something like 30 skills here. So some of the ones you might not recognize is that. When it says athletics, I don't think that's a thing. Athletics is basically just running. Your run speed, stamina, how fast you run, how long you can run for. That's a skill here. Acrobatics is how well you can jump. The jump button has its own skill in this game. And so you'll regularly see people just jumping everywhere they go just to level their acrobatic skill. Because of course this is Elder Scrolls being a game where you level up these skills by using them. So the more you jump, the better you get at jumping, obviously. The one that a lot of people are upset is no longer in the game is Spear, is its own weapon category here. So maybe we might sub that in instead of short sword, just to mix it up, since I never really messed with Spear much back in the day. You've got all the schools of magic. Yeah, Mysticism. What is it? What is Mysticism again? Oh, it's like spell gems to enchant items. Telekinesis. Yeah. Mercantile, being like haggling with shop owners. There's a few here that have gone by the wayside in more recent games, but I think. You know what, I might do a custom one just so we can tweak this completely. Let me just double check what we had with our generator here. Spellblade, right. Okay. Now, I think Spellblade might be official. Let me just double check. No, spell sword, not Spellblade. But yeah, no, I think we have to do custom. Okay, so Spellblade or spell spear. Let me think on a better, more elegant way of naming that. So obviously we're gonna have magic as our primary attribute. Considering I think it's gonna be our main focus here. We'll go with, was it? So it's probably wisdom and intelligence. I'm assuming. Yeah, wisdom and intelligence. It recommends wisdom and intelligence. Sorry, willpower and intelligence. There we go. So, illusion. So illusion is spell effects of the College of Illusion alter the perceptions and thoughts of living subjects. Illusion effects bind, illuminate, paralyze, and silence, calm or enrage, charm, distract, and camouflage. So that's the other thing, because the way you can convince people on this, everyone in the game has a rating of what they think of you, based on various factors from your race to your faction association, and you can actually use illusion here to boost that. So it's basically a charm effect. So you can increase the rate at which they like you to then. Sorry, I think you may be able to hear my daughter serenading you over the baby monitor. If that's coming through, I can turn down the volume on that. So yeah, a lot of like charm and enrage effects. Like you can magic someone into attacking you, so then it's not a crime if you kill them, and things like that. So Conjuration, I think, is just summoning, mental domination of mundane and magical creatures, summation of otherworldly weapons and armor, and summation of Daedric or undead servants. So you can summon both creatures to help you fight, but also summon armor. So you can have an unarmored build where you don't actually have to wear armor, you don't have the weight of it, but you've got magic armor to protect you instead. So I think here we'll do Conjuration, chant, what's it? Alteration. So Alteration is water breathing and walking, jumping, levitating, burdening, opening and locking, and creating shield barriers. So yeah, opening and locking is probably the most useful one here, that is you still used in some of the more recent games, but the one that a lot of people won't recognize here is Levitation. That was especially difficult in Oblivion because the cities were in distinct areas from the open world. There wasn't a seamless transition, so Levitation wouldn't have worked in that game. It hasn't. This is the last time that Levitation was in the game, so you can basically just use levitation and just walk through the air and go over, like climb up a mountain, go over walls and all kinds of things with levitation. Then we've finally got destruction, which is pretty. Oh, sorry, I didn't actually select that. Alteration and destruction is our classic fireball skill spells. So we're gonna go with spear, something a little different, light armor. Marksman, speechcraft, and alchemy. Yeah, we definitely want to go with the alchemy, I think, because I mean, obviously I'm known for cooking. There's no cooking system in this game, but the closest thing you're gonna have is alchemy. And I've always had a fascination with mortar and pestles and alembics and those alchemical sort of devices from loving this game so much, because they like you have to use alchemy. You have to have 4 different pieces of equipment. Like you have to have your mortar and pestle, your alembic, your it's like 2 other things just to make a potion, basically. It's particularly involved here, so we'll might mess with that a little bit. And I don't know what marksman is like always my favorite. I always go straight to marksman, so I'm reluctant to put that in here just because I want to try and avoid that where possible. So why don't we just what else have we got? There's restoration, which is obviously healing spells, so maybe we could throw that in, or we could sorry, let me just double check there's no comments here. I'm currently alt tabs. Nope, that's fine. Okay, so let's just do mercantile, speechcraft. Wait, speechcraft. We do shortblade. What are we missing? That's okay. Why don't we just do restoration? We'll keep this pretty magic based. And shortblade is a backup, so it might be a while till we find a spear. They're not super common in this game. So, okay, let's... I think that's good. I mean, you can level up anything, obviously. It's just that we're going to get a boost in these skills. But we can still use anything else we come across. Okay, Spell Spear. I'm not super happy with that name. But nothing else is coming to me here. You know what? What I want to do actually is I'm gonna mix 2 of these around. I'm just gonna throw. I think we need 1 combat thing in our major skills just to have a bit of a boost, because you'll soon see how difficult it is in this game to have low weapon skills. Why don't we switch out illusion? No, we'll switch out alteration. Alteration's not going to be useful for a while yet. So we'll do spear and we'll put alteration back there. Cool. Okay.
Very good. The letter that preceded, you mentioned you were born under a certain sign.
Star sign.
And what would that be?
What did this suggest? This says the lady. Okay. Let me try that. Hang on a sec. I think the lady might be a mana booster, actually, is it? No. Fortify personality, fortify endurance. Neither of those are going to be super useful to us. Oh, this is my other Khajiit companion, Ted. It is coming up onto dinner time. Right, yes, Atronach. I know there's one that's like actually changes how the game works pretty dramatically. That like you no longer have spell. Your mana no longer recharges. It boosts your magic a lot. Let's see. Does it actually give you a description? Most powerful but need to play around. Yeah, so I mean that could be fun as like if you're going for a magic heavy build, it could be a fun sort of role playing element there. It would be nice if it actually gave a description as to what it did. I do remember it basically means you don't recharge magic naturally, but you have a passive spell absorption, which I think means if you get hit by a magical spell, it actually increases your magicka. So it rather than damaging you, you actually get the mana from spells that hit you. So that sounds actually kind of fun. Fortify maximum magicka. So yeah, so your base max magicka is increased, but you don't recharge naturally. Okay. So that sounds cool. We have alchemy as a skill that we can sort of make sure we craft some mana potions. So I think that sounds fun. Yeah, why don't we do that? I think this is really the only one of the star signs that really change how you play the game. Most of them will give you like a power. Power is a once a day ability. The one I always went with was the tower, I think. Yeah, the tower gives you open a 75-point lock. So locks range from like 1 to 100. So 75 are pretty hard to open at the start of the game. This gives you a way of opening that, once per day, but when you can rest for 24 hours at any time, generally, that's not a real restriction. So I'd always go with this one. Most of the others are pretty generic, so yeah, fortifying a skill. This gives you a basic poison attack. What's the mage? Fortify Maxim Magica and Fortify Willpower. So it's really just a more subdued version of the Atronach. So the Atronach is really the go all in on magic. I think is Lover the paralysis. You get a Lover's Kiss, paralyzed for 10 seconds. That's pretty powerful at the start of the game. The paralyzed spells are pretty expensive, but I think we're gonna go for the Atronach.
Interesting. Now, before I stamp these papers, make sure this information is correct.
Okay, so Barbane Marad, we're a Redguard spell spear with the sign the Atronach. Okay, so let's see our stats here. What have we got? So 35 and 30 in our mains. We've got oh, sorry, I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna have to check on my daughter. 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. Crisis averted. I did just feed the cats. They're not bothering us for the rest of the stream. Okay, so yeah, what have we got? So most of our skills are around 30, 35, and everything we didn't include is pretty low. Our long blade is pretty high just because of the red guards have a propensity to that, I think. But we're going to be pretty rough at sneaking and security. Marksman, not much point doing that. Yeah, so we'll have to wait to boost that with some by other means first, I think. So what have we got? Naturally resistant. Resist common disease and poison. I think that's a red guard thing. Womb burn. Oh, that's the Atronach. Okay. Adrenaline rush. These are our powers once per day. We can fortify agility, strength, and endurance. That, I mean, it's only for 30 seconds. The strength is the main one that's going to be useful there for like boosting. Strength is what your carry weight is based on, so that could be useful. Fortify block. Well, we're not using block. That doesn't matter. We do start with a few spells here. Summon skeleton. Interesting. Now, some of these things might be added by mods. I'm not sure. So there's one. I do have one here called Morrowind Rebirth. I think it used to be called Morrowind Overhaul. It's one of the big sort of. It's not one of the ones that completely change the game, but it does tweak a lot of the base mechanics. Mostly just sanding off the rough edges and reducing opportunities for exploitations. And maybe adding a few things at the beginning here to make, otherwise it would be hard as a magic user when you don't have any spells to start and then don't have any money to buy spells. So they may have added some stuff here. So Elemental Burst, it does all three. elements on touch. That's interesting. Okay. So yes, fire, frost, and shock. Cool. Chameleon, I think, this makes you harder to see. Sanctuary. I don't know. I don't remember what Sanctuary does. I have to look that up. Command creature, so you can convince weak creatures to fight for you. Drain fatigue. Okay, so fatigue, yeah, I'll have to research this, but fatigue has a much bigger role in Morrowind. If you're out of fatigue and then get hit, you'll basically fall over into a prone state and can't defend yourself, which works against NPCs and enemies as well. So there's some fun ways that you can mess with fatigue, and then you just fall over and then you just kick them while they're down. So we could maybe have some fun with that, and we can summon a skeleton. Okay, I like the sound of this. So let's get started as Barbane. Get the stats menu. Right clicking to see them. Oh,
show your papers to the captain when you exit to get.
Oh no, that's fine. I changed my key bindings already. Never mind. Okay, so read your papers. Okay, so we have an actual, like a what do you call it? Our immigration papers, I guess. Our passport. For release by Emperor Uriel Septim VII's decree to the district of Vardenfell in the province of Morrowind. I'm not sure which septim it is in the Emperor in Oblivion. I think Oblivion is like 200 years after this. So we're back in time quite a bit. So we just got our details there. It is 16th of last seed, 3rd era, 427. Okay. What do we got here? Imperial Glory. We are the Imperial Legion. We swear our lives in unyielding loyalty to the Emperor and his noble empire. We believe in honor, swift justice for the innocent, our unbreakable bonds to our brothers in the Legion, unshakable courage in the face of death, and in the spread of civilization and culture to the people everywhere. Yeah, so this is pretty heavy on the colonialism. So this is like the Emperor is obviously. I think most of the Tamriel has been colonized by the Emperor, the Empire at this point. And you can actually join the Imperial Legion in this game. It's the Imperial Legion and the Imperial Cult. So their military wing and their religious wing, and both are separate joinable factions in this game. So there's just their propaganda lying around, I guess. Okay.
Continue through to the next building and talk to Celeste.
Chest marked evidence. Oh, I think if you get caught stealing in this town, it ends up in here. Okay. Should learn how to do combat. You see, yeah, combat's a little clunky in this game. So let's have a look. We might need to tweak this. I already did that. That's cool. So you basically got like a little paper doll of your character that you like drop things onto. There's no equip button, so you have to like pick things up, drop it on. Once your weapon is ready, hold and release the left mouse to swing it. Okay, so oops, there we go. So we've got our dagger. Now the interesting thing here is you also have multiple ways to attack. Basically, if you're moving forward when you attack, you thrust. If you're moving sideways, you like side swipe, and if you're standing still, you swing down. And all three of those actions might have a completely different weapon damage range based on the weapon. So if we look at this, thrust is like with the dagger, you're much better at thrusting than slashing. There is an option that most people have turned on that's like always use best attack. So regardless of whether you're moving sideways or forward, that you're going to be using the best stats. I've always had that turned on in the past. Again, we're trying to keep things interesting here and play with as much of these things, mechanics as possible. So let's keep that on and stab some fools. Okay, so what have we got? Note to Fiskar. Striskar, don't think I've forgotten our wager. I want this dagger sharp as a scamp's claw by morning. Gensil. Okay, so this is a bit of a tutorial room here where they just leave you with a bunch of stuff that you can basically drain this room of everything without any repercussions, just as a bit of an introduction. I mean, I'm not going to bother carrying all this stuff and selling it. It's a little tedious, but one thing worth grabbing is the lockpick here. Now, I don't think we're doing a lot of lockpicking because we're terrible at it, and we have alteration as a backup, but just as an example of how this works, lockpicks work like a weapon in this game. You have to equip them and then stab the lock with them, and then keep stabbing that lock until it works. So our oh, it actually works. Our security skill is like really low, so yeah, that's you could do that 100 times and nothing happens. It's basically Morrowind is very much based on something like D&D, with everything is a dice roll, attacking and lockpicking especially. So every time you stab the lock, you're rolling a dice. Does it succeed? So you could roll it 100 times and not actually nothing could happen. Or you could get lucky and get a 1 out of 100. So what's in this? We've just got some money. Might as well take that. What else have we got here? Oh, might take the Kwama egg for some alchemy. Restore fatigue. And we've got, oh, these are just empty flasks. Matzah. There's a whole bunch of alcohol in this game that like the natives sort of. Well, they have various varieties of alcohol. There's matzah, there's what's it called? Flynn. Flynn's a good one because it doesn't have any downsides. Just fortifies willpower and strength. So we'll definitely take that. Regional liquor. There's the name for it. What the natives drink. There's strong stuff. Okay, so we've got Flynn, we've got crab meat. That's fine, we'll leave all this, I think. Now, the other thing is that even the basket, you can grab the basket, everything except the furniture you can grab in this game. Boxes and crates will all have stuff in it, and a lot of that is randomized. Sometimes you can just find oh, this is different. Okay, so yeah, one of the mods I added. Oh, hello, Chris, welcome. Have you played Morrowind before? So one of the mods I added, I think it was the Morrowind Rebirth, does add things to the existing towns. It doesn't add new landmasses or content, but does sort of expand the existing towns a bit. So it's all sort of very much in flavor with the original game. So I thought that might be a fun way of just adding a little bit of a few new surprises for me as well. So this is completely new. Used to just be that there was a sack on the ground that you could sleep on if you want, basically. But we have actual cells now.
Let's get this over with quickly.
There's 2 people in jail there. Can't tell who that is. What have we got down here? Another locked door. Okay, well, let's put that away. I think this is just basically a note about the new mechanics added, but we'll save that for now. Okay. Map menu. Okay, so here we have the map of Morrowind. So as I said, it's pretty much a completely isolated island. So I mean, as far as the setting is concerned, there is landmass around this, but it's not been modeled for the map. There is an enormous mod called Tamriel Rebuilt, which is it's been in the works for like 20 plus years now since the game started. That's basically rebuilding the rest of Morrowind. So this island is Vardenfell. Vardenfell being just a small part of the province of Morrowind. And this is Solstheim, the island where one of the expansions. There's 2 expansions. Tribunal. Tribunal actually takes place off on the mainland, but just in a very enclosed area, like the capital city on the mainland. And then the second expansion, Blood Moon, is on this island of Solstheim. Now you might actually recognize this In Skyrim, there is an expansion where you go back to Solstheim specifically. That was very cool, but it's like hundreds of years in the future, and it's gone from like a snowy, biome to an ash wasteland. Oh, we literally just started this, Chris. We're just wrapping up creating a character, which is about all I'm expecting in this game today. That is. So yeah, this is the map. We've got the I can't remember the name of the mountain. Might just be Ash Mountain in the middle here. That's going to be our goal much later. The big volcano in the middle, which explodes at some point in the future, which is why everything, including Solstheim, is an ash wasteland by the time of Skyrim. And so we've got Seyda Neen down here, just a little backwater on the coast, and we've got a lot of exploring to do. So let's get to it. Now, if I try to go through here, it's going to tell me check the barrel. Okay, so. Found that there's a ring here. Engraved ring of healing, restore health on self. So I think this is just a tutorial of magic. I can put the ring on myself, then I have to, how do I ready magic? Oh, I have to go to the magic menu, select the item. Yeah, okay. So it's a little clunky how you do this. So select that, and now. Okay, so yeah, then I can... So usually it brings my hands up so you can sort of see, you hit your hands in front of you that you're ready to cast magic. It's not doing that, so I guess I just pressed R to cast that. Okay, and that I can heal a little bit of damage with that ring. Cool. Talk to the captain, select what's to talk about him. Okay, so here we have Captain Celeste. First, let me take your identification papers. Thank you. Word of your arrival only reached me yesterday. I am Celeste, but my background is not important. I'm here to welcome you to Morrowind. So, most of this game is not voiced. And I think Oblivion onwards was fully voiced. This game is all text. And you'll have some barks when you approach people, but most of it is going to be text here. And it's all based around hyperlinks, basically. So they'll give you some information, and you'll have hyperlinks that you can get for more information. You might start out with a few basic things here, like what's happening around town, how's the weather, and then the more you talk to them and explore these hyperlinks will add more and more discussions as you go. I've got Persuasion here, various ways to, some people like to be admired, some people like to be intimidated, and others like to be taunted. Oh, sorry, taunt is if you admire is if you want to increase their how much they like you. Intimidate and taunt is if you want to get them to attack you, or you can just give them money. Is the easiest way. So every person in the game has a rating of how much they like you based on various factors. He's pretty indifferent right now. So let's see. So he took our passport. Celeste, the Knight Errant of the Imperial Legion. Okay, Morrowind. Yes, you're in Morrowind. I don't know why you're here, or why you were released from prison and shipped here, but your authorization comes directly from Emperor Uriel Septim VII himself, and I don't need to know any more than that. Well, you leave this office, you are a free man, but before you go, I have instructions on your duties. Instructions from the Emperor. So pay careful attention. So we've got a couple of new ones here. Yes, Uriel Septim is still the Emperor. According to my instructions, he personally authorized your release from prison and your delivery here. It's all very mysterious, but that's the way the Empire works. Silence. Secrecy. Let not the left hand know what the right hand is doing. Yes, of course, this is the Empire. This is Vardenfell District of the province of Morrowind, and Morrowind has been part of the Empire for over 400 years. Okay, so it isn't a new colony then. It's been quite some time. The current Emperor is Uriel Septim, 24th of the Septim line. You haven't been in prison that long, have you? Nothing wrong with your head, is there? The men said you were acting a little strange when they brought you in from the ship. Okay, so, our duties. This package came with the news of your arrival. You are to take it to Caius Cassades. Caius Cassades. Caius Cassades? Cassades? I don't know. a lot of names. That like each race has their own way you're supposed to pronounce them. I need to brush up on my Latin. In the town of Balmorra, go to the South Wall Corner Club and ask for Caius Cassades. There, they'll know where to find him. Serve him as you would serve the Emperor himself. I also have a letter for you and a dispersal to your name. So we have a letter with more instructions and a little more money.
What's this about?
And that's it. So that's as much as this game gives you for a tutorial. It pushes you through the census office and out into the world. We can now go wherever we want. no big dungeons and fighting dragons and what was the Oblivion? Oh, the assassins in the sewers for Oblivion. Just dumped out in old Seyda Neen here. So. So this is a Neen, sort of the sort of swampy area of the map. Few more modern buildings with the colonial buildings, but largely shacks. Now, we can't not talk to our old friend Fargoth here.
Sorry, stranger. My time is short, so get on with it.
The character that everyone loves to hate in this game. Everyone loves Geob and everyone hates Fargoth. So, what has he got to say? Are you the one the boat dropped off? On to see a boat arrive at the time of day. Hope the Imperials treated you okay. I swear they took my ring. So you can ask for general tips of what's going on around town, but apparently he's looking for a ring. I swear one of the guards has it. I had it last week before that weekly Let's Shake Down Fargoth ritual. An engraved healing ring, family heirloom of mine. You haven't seen it, have you? Well, we have magic that can heal us. We don't really need a dirty old ring that we found in the barrel, so I guess we can give it back to him. You found it! Amazing! Thank you, thank you. You are now my favourite friend. I'll be sure to tell the others, especially my friend Aril, who runs the trade house here. Go see him. He'll be happy to see you now. So yeah, basically, he's in good with the local merchant, and I think he basically increases the how much the merchant likes you, and you can get a little bit of a discount. So that's about all that does. So there's not a lot to do in Seyda Neen really. You've got, I mean, the cool thing is everyone here. Every character you see, other than the guards, has a name and an assigned house. Whose house? Terrori's Giavain's house. The thing in Morrowind being that there is no scheduling. There might be a little bit of scheduling in one of these mods, but largely, if someone's in the town, they'll be walking around town all hours of the night. If they're in their house, they'll never leave their house. There's none of the scheduling that you see in Oblivion and Morrowind. They actually start in the town and then go inside at night. So you have to memorize where everyone is at any given time. So not to do here right now, but we will need a little bit of equipment before we go on our way. So we've got nothing but a dagger and a little bit of money and an egg. We have a good egg. So I think the package. Okay, so the package is encoded. So this is what we have to give Caius. The letter to Caius. Okay, we have been given these. You have been given these directions in a package of documents. Do not show them to anyone. Do not attempt to read the documents in the package. Oh, too late for that. The package has been sealed, and your tampering will be discovered and punished. Well, we'll find out what that means later. They probably should have put this on top. Proceed to the town of Balmorra in Vardenfell District to report to a man named Caius Cassades. Okay, this is basically repeating what Celeste told us. Remember, you owe your life and freedom to the Emperor. Serve him well, and you'll be rewarded. Betray him, and you will suffer the fate of all traitors. Galabrio Bellienus? Personal secretary. Okay, so I'm going to go find Caius. So we have a couple of options now to get to Balmorra. We have directions on how to get. I don't think we got the directions. The trick in this game, there is no waypoint. There is no follow the magical arrow. There's no compass in Morrowind. There is rough directions that are sometimes put into your journal, and that's about it. I think I was perhaps supposed to ask Celeste back here how to get to Balmorra. I know the way, but let's see what he has to say. Balmorra, there we go. So Balmorra is north of Seyda Neen. The road passes Pelagiad village and Fort Pelagiad, crosses a deep ravine, passes Fort Moonmoth, and turns west across the Odai River and into Balmorra. The South Wall Corner Club is in the southeast Balmorra, on the east side of the river. For more detailed directions, talk to Elon the Scout at Aril's trade house here in Seyda Neen. But you're new here, take the Silt Strider to Balmorra. Fast, cheap, safe. Cross the bridge and head east. Can't miss it. So yeah, that's about the most explicit directions you get in this game. And we don't have those in our journal.
This is a wondrous encounter.
Let's have a look. Oh, Fargoth loves us now. Okay, so we at least have topics. When this game first launched, before the first expansion, you didn't even have these. You didn't have these lists. You didn't have quests. It was just your journal was just one long string of text. You had to scroll through to find what you wanted. For the first expansion, though, they at least added this way of filtering through the journal. So we've got here Balmorra. So if we get lost, we can refer back to this. But we should go to the trade house because we need to get some equipment, and we were told there's a scout there that might have some more information for us. So a couple of these buildings are new. I think that one, the more modern building over there, is definitely new. Most of these shacks were in the original game, though. I don't know what that building there is. This is Aril's trade house. So even just finding the trade house wasn't particularly obvious. Like, you could easily walk past this place. I'm just overly familiar with this game. So we've got old Aril here. Welcome to Aril's trade house. I barter for goods or coin. I also have a small selection of spells for sale. No credit. You want a little advice? That's free. That's all that's free. Would you like to hear about our most popular potions? Our most popular scrolls? I want to hear his advice. Yeah, the advice is pretty generic information. It's not actually tips for the game. Okay. So we could buy spells here, but they're pretty... Yeah, they would drain most of our money just buying a single spell. I think what we really need here is a little protection, some armor. So I think we went with light armor. So let's see what he's got in terms of that. Oh, he's got Chittenden Armor. Chittenden is very cool. It's basically carapace. I think they introduced that in the... I don't know what it's called. The expansion for Skyrim that goes back to Solstheim. I think included that. But Chittenden is basically carapace of a bug, basically, that you wear as armor, which is pretty cool. So I mean, the Cuirass alone is 175, which we do not have. So we can buy. Yes, that's the thing in this game, is that the armor is separated into a lot more components. Like gauntlets, you have separate right and left gauntlets. Like where in most games you just both gauntlets are one item. Here, each gauntlet is a separate item. Each shoulder piece is a separate item. Boots are at least together. You don't have to buy two boots. But you could have two completely different gauntlets for whatever reason. So I think that might be all we can afford is a couple of gauntlets. Or we could buy a spear. Why don't we buy a spear? Does he have one? He's got a staff. Oh, iron spear. Here we go. A chitin spear or an iron spear. We'll buy an iron spear, and we'll buy. That's gonna cost too much, isn't it? Instead of curiosity, 195. Yeah, so we can't afford that. But we could buy Let's buy some pauldrons. Can I even afford $2 short? Maybe he'll buy my nice egg. There you go. Not yeah, still one short. But you can haggle a little bit, so let's just put him down one. And accepted. Cool. So we've got pauldrons, and we've got our spear. I won't pull it out in here because people do not like that. They get very fussy if you pull out weapons inside. What was the name of the scout we needed to talk to? Elone the scout at a rules trade house. Okay. You would do a lot of referring to the to the journal in this game. The game does, you have to go find every single piece of information. Oh, there she is. Elone. Okay. Need directions. Plagiad, Balmora, Caldera, Ebonheart, Vivek. Okay, so Balmora, what does she have to say? Balmora is a district seat of House Hlelu and the largest settlement on Vardenfell after Vivek City. Good roads lead north from here to Balmora, passing through Fort Pelagiad and Pelagiad village. From Balmora, roads lead north to Alderun through the town of Caldera. But it doesn't really tell us... Oh, here, maybe I'll better write down the directions to Balmora for you. Okay. I do know how to get there, but just I want to instill just how incredibly opaque this game is. Like, it does not help you at all. I'm just very curious what this building over here is. Imperial Barracks and Coast Guard. It has a Coast Guard now? Wow, Seyda Neen's really coming up in the world. Okay. Interesting. Oh, there's a whole fleet of boats too. That's the toilet. It's a toilet. Okay. Okay, that's new. Nice. Okay, well, let's, where's my spear? There we go. Okay. So, I assume a spear probably is best thrusting, right? Yeah, okay, so if I chop with it, it does all of 2 damage. If I thrust with it, it does up to 20 damage. That's a huge difference. So spears are only working if I'm moving in this direction. Maybe we'll go test it out on an unassuming mud crab. Let's just double check what spells we've got. Where is it? Elemental Burst, I think, is the most useful one generally. Okay, so one thing I want to show you all, I think we're going to cut it here before we leave Seyda Neen. The one thing I want to show you is the Silt Strider that he recommended we catch. So Morrowind has a fast travel system, but unlike the follow-up games, it is completely diegetic, where like the travel routes are built into the story of the game. So one of the primary ways you have of getting around, you can't just click on somewhere on the map and say, I want to go here. You have to follow the transit network, like it's like trying to look at the map of the London Tube or something. So this is probably the widest network, but also the most interesting. It's a giant freaking bug. So these are Silt Striders, and somehow they've like hollowed out part of its shell that you sit inside and ride around on. And it's instantaneous. Like you can select from here certain locations, and it's just you teleport there, but ostensibly you are riding inside this thing, and it's just creepy as fuck. I don't know. Like, surely that's painful, just cutting a huge hole in their back. But yeah, that's cool. So, and I guess this is like the same chitin that your armor is made out of. But I'm now like wearing part of a Silt Strider, perhaps. I don't know. But also, like, so this person can only go to 4 locations. Like, it can't even hit the whole Silt Strider network. So I might have to make several stops along the way, just within the Silt Strider network. and some places aren't connected to the network. Some places are connected by boats. So you have to like, oh, I'll get the silk threaded to Vivek, and there I can get a connecting boat from Vivek to Nisus, and from Nisus I can get the Mages Guild teleporter to. So it, like, you have to map out your fast travel here, and that's such a cool immersive way, I feel, and partly why I bounce off some of the more recent ones, that you never really feel absorbed in the world when you're just bouncing back and forth constantly. So you constantly have to find new ways of forcing yourself to engage with the with actually traveling from place to place. So I think we might leave it there. Gonna just play it pretty safe for today. Maybe we'll go. Let's go. I want to go fight something. Just to show you how bad this combat system is. But that's, I guess, let me double check what the save, is it F5 to quick save? Because I am going to need to use that a lot. Is it even a quick save? Quick save, okay, quick save, quick load, okay, cool. Let's save it here. And quick save, okay, so let's go find something to kill. There's usually some crabs over in the swamp here. Oh yeah, you can play this game third person, but it's very floaty, as you can see. Oh, I know where we should end this. I know where we should end this. I'm sure Daddy knows what I'm talking about if we take this path. Okay, well first there's a Quama worm in our way. So make sure, like, you might see this worm and think, oh hey, that's nothing, it's easy to kill. Don't underestimate anything in this game. As I said, everything is based on a dice roll. So you can swing at something and nothing happens. So you might be swinging at something 4 or 5 times before it actually does any damage. Like so. And this is one of the biggest pain points for this game. What's that? Why did someone just scream? The subtitle just screamed just now. Okay, well, I thought I was decent at spear, but apparently not. Well, it's not doing much damage at least, so there's that. Oh, I think I hit it. There we go. So this is the biggest reason why people bounce off Morrowind. And there are mods to tweak that, obviously. You'd have to adjust the amount of damage it does. But I mean, I think it's pretty old school. I like it, but it's an acquired taste for sure. So you have to know what you're getting into with this game. Nothing on there. So let's wait. I'm lost already because I don't think this path was part of this town. Is new. So no, I think it is this road. Let's just take this road for a minute and see what happens. I should point out this is the wrong way to Balmora, but there is something over here. At least there should be. Oh, there it is. Okay, there it is. Well, that was inexplicable. Who do we have here? Tahil. And he just fell from the sky. So, what do we have? I'll try. Let's read the book. Journal of Tahil. I believe I may have found the correct formula for the spell I am developing. With it, I will be able to travel great distances without the need to pay others for the service. If all goes well, I will test out the new spell tomorrow. I believe I have worked out all of the possible complications. It will allow me to leap great distances, covering many hundreds of miles. Never before has one been able to travel in this manner, vaulting from the ground, sailing through the sky, all without that terrible disorientation of a spell of flying. The time is almost upon me. My research is finished and all of my calculations are checked and rechecked. They laughed at me when I suggested this. You'll see who laughs after I leap to the top of their towers and scream out my success. Unfortunately, he never gave any thought to how he gets down again. So this is one of the first things that people will probably find in this game if they go this way. It's good old Tarheel, living out the dream of Daedalus. No, sorry, Icarus, I guess. So what you can find on him though, other than a very cool hat, I should say, like check the old Clovian fur hat, like the high point of fashion, obviously. But what we have here, let's just take all of this. So we have some clothes that we can wear, but we also have. Let me save this very importantly. We have the scroll of Icarian flight. Oh, okay, Icarus. Very, very explicitly is Icarus. Yes. Okay, so fortify acrobatics for 7 seconds on self. So I put it earlier. Acrobatics is a skill in this game. The higher your acrobatics, the higher you jump. If you boost that by 1,000%, what happens? So this is another perfect point of how Morrowind is so obtuse, but is so ripe for exploitation, because you can just do crazy nonsense like this. So I'm thinking I'm going to leave it here with giving you a demonstration of the Scroll of Icarian Flight. Okay, so sorry, I'm trying to remember how you even use scrolls in this game. Scroll of Icarian Flight, there we go. Let's point, so boost, jump, point, and jump. Bon voyage. Oh, we see an old Dwemer tower there, right before we die. So you got a little tour of Vardenfell there before we will finish it off. I'm gonna leave it there. Thanks for joining me. I hope to continue this every week or so. There'll be some weeks, of course, where I can't do it, but I want to try and poke at this. I figured it's a way to stay engaged, or it's a new way to engage with my favorite game and exploring it from a slightly different angle. And hopefully encourage some other people to try it. It is on Game Pass right now, as is all Bethesda games. So you can play for free on Xbox or PC. There is a slight difference there is a slight limitation as to what mods you can use. Some of the really advanced mods that require you to alter the game code can't be used, but you can definitely do some of the basic ones that will tweak the game. Oh, thank you for following Emisteria. Welcome. We're just wrapping up here, but okay. So thanks for joining. I'll hoping to join again next Sunday. I guess we should see if anyone else is streaming to raid. Oh, that's right. That's the other thing I wanted to mention was the whole reason I got back into this game. It's been the first time I've played it in several years. Is that one of my favorite podcasts, the Dev Game Club podcast? It's two game developers, and it's like a book club style podcast where they'll do 5 or 6 episodes on a particular game, and a real deep dive, exploring it from a developer's perspective. And they just started a new series on Morrowind. And one of the two, I believe, worked on Skyrim. I don't remember his exact role, but he does have some experience with the Elder Scrolls directly, so it brings some cool insight into that. So I recommend checking that out too. It's the Dev Game Club podcast. So, let's just have a look here.